Hi everyone, I'm back, and today I'm just going to talk about a little opinion of mine on Les Mis. So, this is based off some of the comments I got on my last video where I went over um, the different orchestrations for the keyboard part in Les Mis through the years. And John Cameron's original orchestrations, those are really good, and they I'll talk about them more later, but then they've changed through the years. The Les Mis orchestral part has evolved. So I have here the full score of Act 1, the Les Mis School Edition, and it doesn't really specify the different keyboard patches used, but here it is. And I have looked at the different keyboard patches for each song on the internet, not on this. Just want to show you guys that. So, to be honest, I am a bigger fan of the original keyboard orchestrations rather than the newer ones. It's really a subjective thing. It just depends whether you're a bigger fan of the more Victorian, I'd say, sounds of the harpsichord, or the more 80s sounds of the original. But I think what we are all against as Les Mis fans is when, say, a high school, most of the time, just uses a piano or a piano sound on a synthesizer to get as it's marked on the score, act piano sound, but it's just a distorted electric piano. They use just a piano, which is why I'm at my piano today, to play that, which is big disservice. The piano does not belong in that part. So basically, it would just sound like this. Which sounds alright if you're just playing it solo, but with an orchestra, it just doesn't sound good. I'll be honest, I've heard, and it just made me cringe. Um, I like the new orchestrations. They're not bad. Just depends what your taste is. Are you a bigger fan of the originals or the newer ones? I'm a bigger fan of the originals, but to be honest, they're really complicated. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff for the originals, and for the new ones, it's not as complicated. And they stripped a lot of the orchestrations from the original one from the new one. So in a lot of ways, it's simpler, and it's also more pros for the new one. It sounds better as an orchestra. It sounds almost like a film score, which is why in the movie it's closer to the newer orchestrations rather than the older ones. Because I can imagine it wouldn't sound very good seeing the way that the Les Mis movie is such a cinematic, almost biblical thing, and then you just hear some 80s synthesizers there. It just wouldn't fit in. So I think they went with the right choice for the movie. For the play, I like the original ones. Well, first of all, to play, and it's very comparable to the Phantom of the Opera, sort of with the overture as well as the title song. You have some sounds there which are sort of irreplaceable. You have the organ sound, so he's playing from memory, but and then there's the bass. classic thing. It's like some they have been edited, but I think they did a really good job of editing them because today it still sounds very rock inspired, just the way it did in the '80s. But now it just sounds cleaner and more. It just sounds better, in my opinion, than newer Phantom of the Opera titles and orchestrations. I like them more than the original ones, but you can't take that away from Phantom of the Opera. If they came out with new orchestrations for Phantom of the Opera, where they completely did away with any rock inspired things, like if they took away the electronic bass and they took away the synth organ and replaced it with other things, it's like a string arrangement instead of the electronic, they'd play that on the double bass, or instead of the organ, they'd have the string ensemble. Um, that it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. Um, and it's sort of comparable to Les Mis. The Les Mis sounds are really classic. They're really classic. And they did a pretty good job with the new orchestrations, but I'm still a really big fan of the old ones. Like, it's just stuff that I don't even know how they came up with it. It sounds amazing, and it fits it really perfectly. You're not, that sound is because, well, if you look at it this way, the original orchestrations present, especially in the prologue, oh my gosh, and Look Down, they present a really, really dismal tone. I don't have my resources to like play all the MIDI sounds right now, but I'm just gonna use my piano. It's slower. It has those synth sounds. It's like pulsing back and forth, and it's kind of like it's giving you a really depressing tone, which is what you need for that song. You know, it's slaves working and their lives are like being stripped away from them as they work and work. A lot of them for crimes they maybe didn't even commit or very minor crimes, such as stealing a loaf of bread. And they're just working their lives away. And the newer orchestrations, you don't get that tone. What you get is very up tempo, sort of. Also different. It's a different setting. They're in the galleys instead of plowing fields. So I guess it could make sense, but it just doesn't present with the same. It just doesn't present the same tone. And I like the darker, more dismal tone for that. More than the sort of up tempo, sort of like fast chord progressions you get in the newer ones. Yeah, John Cameron's original orchestration is really good. Uh, and I can definitely deal with the newer ones. In fact, I just made a cover of the new ones. I'm planning to release soon at some point, but I don't know. It's not 100% done. It's almost there, but I'll get there soon. And I'll release that to you guys. So, is that all? Yeah. Thanks for the comments, guys, on the last orchestration analysis video. And if you guys have any more comments or questions or anything you guys want to talk about, talk Les Mis stuff, go ahead. I'm sort of not really neutral. I'm leaning more towards the '80s orchestrations and John Cameron orchestrations, but I can deal with the new ones too. So I'm open to anything. You guys talk it out in the comments. Thanks.